Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the last Senate meeting of the semester. It's been, or of the year, actually. It's been a long year, and I just want to thank y'all for making it through it with all the rest of us. It's been lovely working with y'all. I didn't start out this year in this place, but I'm sure going to end it here. And so, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. Can I get a motion to call to order and approve the agenda?
So moved.
There's been a so moved. Is there a second? There's been a second. And approve the agenda, just to make sure we're doing everything all right. Motion to approve the agenda. There's been a motion. Is there a second? There's been a second. All right. We're going to go straight into speakers. And yes, do we have our speaker here tonight?
I got an email. He's sick. He's not coming.
Cool. No, that's not cool. I'm so sorry that he's under the weather, but we are on a tight schedule this evening. Also, Dean Beth Meyer Davis is recovering from surgery, and so she won't be able to be here tonight. And so we are going to go straight into remarks. I'll work with the incoming SVP and try to schedule them for sometime next year. So we're going to go ahead and surprise Katie with remarks from President Katie Heath.
That was quick. Okay, I wasn't ready, but that's okay. Well, this is my last one of these. And I've been in GPSG now for 3 years, and it has been such a joy, genuinely, to be a part of this organization. I have to say that the reason that I joined GPSG was for 2 reasons. One is because I was looking for community, and really 2, because I saw problems that my constituents, or not my constituents, but my cohort were having. And I thought that, this was the place to try and make change. And I will say over the past 3 years, I have really come to find such a wonderful community of people and have made so many friends and so many wonderful connections being here. And I just want to say thank you all for that, because it has really and truly been such an honor to serve in this position. And I'm sad, honestly, about leaving, but I know my advisor is really happy that I'm done. So I wanted to say, I have a couple of parting thoughts. I think that we are in a world that is very different than it even was when I started in this position, and things change really, really rapidly. And, I think if I have one parting message, it's that, I think everyone in this room is absolutely here for the same reason. All of the new, wonderful people that are here in the executive branch, that I'm so welcome, and I'm so happy that you're here. All of you that are going to be returning, staying through the summer and the next year, we are all here for the same reason. And that is because we have the power to change this university to be better for graduate professional students. And that really is, why we show up every day. I think that what we need to continue to do and do better at is to communicate, is to work together, is to show up in the places where we need to show up. We need to be present. We need to talk to each other. And we need to work together. And I know that this organization, I've seen it for many years, we have always been capable of that, and we will continue to do great things. And so I hope that you take some of those parting thoughts with you as we continue on to the next year. I do have a couple of announcement type things. Also, here, sorry, that one. Just very short, couple of things happening. I know that the some executive position applications are still open on Heal Life. And so if that's, someone that's interested, or that's something you're interested in, please go and fill that out. And additionally, we're going to be having Climate Action Day. Is going to be happening on April 10th. Right? That's right, April 10th from 11 to 2 in the pit. And so please come out and participate in that. It's going to be a really awesome event. I know that our Climate Action Committee has already done some fantastic advocacy this year that has been really amazing, and is something that is near and dear to a lot of students' hearts. So I'd love to see all of you there for that. I see someone in the chat who's excited about that, so amazing. And that's really it. You know, just we're working on wrapping up our end of year report. So I'm not going to bore you all with like a bunch of listing of things that have happened this year. But when that gets released, I'd encourage you to share it with your constituents if they're kind of interested in what it is that GPSG actually does. As it's all coming together into a report, I was kind of excited about how many things we really have managed to get done this year. And it's really exciting. So it's going to be a wonderful year. Absolutely good luck to the next administration. I hope that you are even more successful and everything goes great. So with that, that's it. That's all I got for you. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Katie. Well, thank you, Katie. And we're going to go ahead and move on to updates from our student body president. Don't rush up here. Take your time. We don't need any accidents right before exams and right before the end of the semester.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. It's great to see you all in your last meeting. I will be here every meeting next year. I want to make sure that's very clear in person. I will try to make it as much as possible, but I will not be sending proxies. I think that's a really important part of showing that I care about the graduate student side of student government. And it's just showing up and making sure that people see that you at least want to be informed about what graduate students are into. I pretty much went over all bills that you guys have passed in today and took the time to read the agenda. So yeah, there's some changes going on at the university. We know that Provost Clemens is stepping down before the next BOT meeting. So something that I've been in contact with the workers union about is that, as we know, there was a promised graduate stipends increase that has been floating around. Provost Clemens is leaving before the next BOT meeting. So as I go into these transition meetings with them, I'm meeting with them either very late this week or early next week. A big priority is making sure that this doesn't get lost in the middle of the transition. So it either gets signed off or it gets effectively passed to interim provost, Jim Dean. You know, it's a 3-year, $2,000 increase. And I think that it's even though it's not what most people wanted, it's the best that the university has really gone out to do for graduate students. So it's really important to make sure that it doesn't get lost in the transition. And then with everything going on, the university doesn't just say, oh yeah, sorry, we just don't know. So I will be asking on that and we'll be sending updates. Probably I will be sending an email update to whoever your president and speaker are about what that meeting ends up being. Now, in the selection committee, last time we saw that the selection committee did have the GPSG present in it. I'm meeting with the chancellor soon to keep talking about, you know, the selection committee, what that process is going to look like, and I will encourage him to continue to do that. The same way that last time the GPSG president got to be in the selection committee, I believe that the same thing should happen this year. So especially because this person has the most influence in the academic world at the university. So at the end of the day, graduate students are pretty much at the front forward of research in the academia of the university. So therefore, they should have a voice in the committee. Yeah, so we know that undergrad-grad relations have been tense in the past. I know this year was a really tough year for that. I'm aware of what happened with the resolutions in September. I disagree with the way that was carried out. I disagree with either side stepping in to grab power from the other. I think it's a very responsible way to use JGC. And yeah, so I'm here to say that I truly intend to represent both sides in this joint governance, but also I hope that we can have conversations about what JGC will look like next year and make promises about a new generation leadership and trying to step in with new values and just a better relationship. I think the people who have been problematic will probably not be in JGC next year. And I think that this is an opportunity for us to try to see how we can come together. A lot is going on at the federal and state level. A lot is going to be going on at the university this year. So I think that staying together and more united will be more important than ever. The same for representation of graduate students in SAG, the Student Government Association is going to be really important as well. That happened this year effectively. I want to continue to carry it out, not just singling out one side, because I think that as student body president, you know, you have the power of being an undergraduate student, and it's really easy to just forget about the grad side. And yeah, I'm trying to keep the GPSG president into important meetings as much as possible with the MPH meetings with the chancellor, meetings with the provost, whoever constitutionally is the GPSG president will continue to loop them into important conversations. Now, the BOE reform, the court said it in their last opinion that there has to be significant reform to the law. So I look forward to JGC working on this. And again, I think that we can all agree the board was complicated this year. We had really poorly run elections, and we have to look into improvements next year and how we can do things better. I think the general election, it by itself was a very complicated, messy election. And, ahead of time, I think that I look forward to working with you guys in JGC on that. And the MPH concentration, this is important for graduate students. So we met with them. I emailed them the night that happened. Very alarming. I called for an emergency meeting. I was like, hey, I need clarity on this because the email was very vague. The email just kind of was like, yeah, we're cutting it, but have a great day, everyone. So I called the chair that night, and he was explaining to me in a very honest perspective, this man who does research on health equity, he was like, hey, I promise that this is not the school coming or an external force coming after diversity or equity initiatives. We also talked about some personal stuff he's experiencing with the school and with how, for example, the administration trying to come up with some of his research and stuff, but that's another topic. What's important is that he did make it clear, we're gonna meet tomorrow and we're gonna show you enrollment data and go through the real truth behind this. So we met with them. I will be emailing this fact sheet that I was allowed to email people, but enrollment went down beyond a point that the school could handle. So the school set a couple years of policy that said that programs had to have a minimum of 20 people enrolled in the program. So they showed us data, and over the last years, enrollment was going down. In the last 2 years, the average was 15. So the school was losing $78,000 running the program every year. The school is currently looking at other potential avenues to continue advocating for health equity. They're looking at a certificate program. The dean is coming back. I'm meeting with the dean as soon as possible to talk about what those efforts look like and what tangibly the school is doing to continue advocating for health equity. But yeah, I will send that fact sheet with the admissions data to you guys so you can take a look. And international students, we know that that's a very sensitive topic right now. We know a lot is going on, and UNC will likely be in the list of schools that will have visas revoked in the near future. We were on the news last year with protests, so we can expect that probably the State Department will have investigations. And here's where I kind of want to ask a question, and how can I support the graduate international student community? How can I effectively advocate for you guys? And what do you think the most urgent priorities are for you in terms of having clarity from the administration or in terms of conversations? And that's my main question. And I really wanted to come and ask thoughts on that, and how can we effectively advocate for this community that we know it's at high risk right now? Yes.
Ashram, I'm here, economics. I am an international student who's definitely in those shoes. There's so little the university can do, but I think something that we have seen some universities do and some universities not do is whether they actually publicly support the student and provide them with legal services. So we saw in the case of Tufts, they are actually standing behind their student and condemning the government's action. In Columbia's case, they're not doing that. And, if and when this happens at UNC, it would be nice, I guess, to have a response that's more similar to Tufts than Columbia. Thank you.
Yes.
Tyler West, epidemiology. First and foremost, as someone who in part you for you having that quick turnaround and meeting with faculty, staff within Gillings. I think that is a great example of what you should continue to do moving forward. We've been made aware that other concentrations are in talks, if not already have been cut for future enrollment, but we haven't even been told which exactly they are. I know that official statements will come out in the future, but if you can just continue to have those conversations, if you are to find out any information, and let representatives such as myself and others who represent Gillings know, I think that would be great. But again, appreciate how quick it was for you to turn around and have those meetings. I think that's something that needs to continue happening across the board with graduate programs.
Computational biology. I'm not an international student, although I'm an immigrant. I think one of the main things in order to support international students, especially given that the administration is not likely to stand behind them, is to ensure that, legal resources that are advertised to them, things that people they may reach out to if push comes to shove, names of lawyers, et cetera, kind of like a sheet that they could use would be, I think, helpful.
resources you said? I know someone's on the Zoom. Oh. Colin's in Zoom.
Those on Zoom, Caitlin.
Yes, thank you. This is Kaylin with the Department of Health Behavior. Yes, I would also like to thank you for your quick turnaround time discussing the elimination of the equity program. I would encourage you to investigate a little bit more about enrollment numbers. I know that there are several students within my cohort that had originally applied for the equity program that were redirected to health behavior. So I guess I just have some concerns that it's not so much enrollment that's an issue so much as people getting recommended for other programs. So just in your further communication, I would just probably investigate it a little bit more. I know that there's a lot of concerns within the Department of Health Behavior that it is a form of reaction to the new DEI policies from the Trump administration. So I just wanted to echo the sentiments of my cohort and my department with that. So thank you.
Okay, great. Would it be beneficial to maybe have a roundtable conversation with the people from the program to kind of know where everyone's at? If we could put that together with GPSG and get better clarity as we kind of plan to meet with the dean of the school?
Yeah, I would absolutely encourage that. I can provide my email or any contact information that you need to kind of get that set up, but just let me know how you'd like to go about it and I'll support you however I can.
Okay, great. I'll send you an email. I'll put my email on the chat box before I leave, and then we can put something together. Perfect. Yeah. So I think that a trend we're seeing is that the Board of Trustees is being really compliant with the Trump administration. At least at the last meeting, it seems that the BOT is kind of grabbing on what's happening to other universities to advance interests. So, like because they're doing this to Columbia, we have to do what Trump made Columbia do. I think that that's kind of the main sentiment that the Board of Trustees is kind of taking on. So I think that there need to be some honest conversations with the chancellor as to how he will personally push the administration to support international students if a crisis were to happen, because the Board of Trustees is just not willing to do so. Last meeting we heard the term, well, somebody was like, I think it was Marty who said like, yeah, we need to deport the illegals. So, it's a very aggressive board, and they're really not seem open to acting outside of what the Trump administration is pushing for. So those are going to have to be some conversations. Now, faculty seems really excited about incoming provost dean. He had a really good relationship with faculty while he was here. I think the main message that I'm going to try to get across with Lee and the search committee is that the person who steps into this job truly has to be an academic. And to be an academic means believing the First Amendment in education, somebody who will truly, even if the administration picks someone who has opposite political interests as the student body, someone who will not touch programs based on what they believe. I think that there can be that separation, and that separation has to happen. I think that Gillings, when we met with them, the chair was really honest. He was like, I disagree with a lot of what Clemens believes, but he hasn't come after the things that we teach. He's been separating his personal beliefs from that. The next person needs to, at the very least, do that, because this person can make it or break it for freedom of speech and education. So that's the main priority. And yeah, I look forward to coming to Senate meetings and continue to give real thorough updates. I know that a lot is going on, so I'm always one email away if I can be of any help. People do tend to reply to me or listen to me, so that's kind of helpful to at least get emergency meetings set up. So yeah, anything else? Great, thank you.
I have a question on Zoom.
Oh, yes.
You're just wanted to say, like, some of the things that you could also advocate for international students is that even if a visa is canceled and there's nothing we can do, the student still should have a certain amount of days to leave the country. So it's ensuring that the university is willing to support universities in returning to their home country versus allowing them to be taken by ICE or any other institution and be placed in a correctional facility. So trying to remove the fear of ending incarcerated versus being able to safely return to their countries and therefore have less of a traumatic experience with this. And the university can definitely try to, I would appreciate having conversations with the university to see if they would at least by not having much more to do with supporting students in returning to their home country in a non-traumatic way.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I am reaching out to Barbara Stevenson from Global Affairs. All visa affairs are hosted under her office. So if anyone would be interested in joining that conversation or has points that you might want me to bring to that, I'm inviting Leah, and I am open to inviting more people to that conversation. But I think that there has to be more transparency. So how the university plans on acting if this goes down, because at this point the university at least has to have a plan, because it's going to happen sooner than later. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you for saying that. All that, like, so many helpful resources, hopefully will come out of that. And I know it's a difficult time. And so please reach out to our new student body president. Please reach out to GPSG. Please reach out to your constituents, because we're all in this together. So yeah, I'm just gonna do a very quick thing. I already said my thank yous, so I'll just do them again. One more thing. It was just announced that 6 visas were terminated at UNC by the Trump administration, for those that could not hear. So we are going to be following through with that. Sure. Is there a second? There's been a motion to suspend the rules. There's been a second. What would you like to do with those 4 minutes? Just as a recess, as a, sure. Do you mind if I just talk over that, or? Cool. Then I'll, just so we can keep this going, I just want to thank y'all for working with me. I know I wasn't the person that was elected or nominated in last April, but I tried to do my best. Thank y'all for working with me. Thank y'all for being amazing. I am literally at a loss for words. It's been an amazing time here at UNC, and I hope that we will all continue to work together, stay together, and do our best to try to make UNC a better place throughout the rest of our years. And after that, we are going to, I'm also going to say, if you have not signed the attendance or have not signed in on Zoom, please do so. After we get through all this, I'm going to be working on allocation materials, and emails will probably be sent out during the meeting. And yeah, are there any questions while we continue to have the suspension of rules? If there's something that I haven't sent out that you think I need to, please just let me know. If there's something that's still ongoing, it is still ongoing. Trying to balance my practicum project with this. So yeah. Make sure you eat pizza. Also, feel free to talk amongst yourselves. We're in a recess for another 2 minutes or so. All right, if everybody is ready, we're gonna come back together. And again, please make sure you sign. And if you have to leave the meeting, please make sure you join the meeting via Zoom. We like having quorum, and we don't want to assume that you've gone to the bathroom for extended periods of time like we had to in March. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and move into the nominations for the Speaker of the Senate. I have received one nomination for Senator Hashem. Are there any other nominations that people would like to raise at this time? Any on Zoom?
Point of clarification.
Yes.
This is Fernando Quijano, business PhD. Would this Speaker of the Senate just be for this one session? As if I remember correctly, the speaker is selected at the beginning of the year, just for clarification.
Yes, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Hashem, is my belief that with the turnover that's happening right now, since I will be moving out, I will no longer be here, but the speaker will continue technically through the summer session because we are no longer basically getting rid of all the senators until right before the September election. So he will, she, they will be a speaker throughout the summer, except for there's generally nothing that goes on in the summer except for the summer, summer governance. Thank you. And so that will be its own thing. If there has to be emergency meetings, which due to the number of bills we have tonight, we need to have an emergency meeting to go through the rest of them. That's where the speaker will continue to work. So if we have our emergency meeting next week, the Speaker of the Senate will also be leading that. Is that correct, Hashem?
Yes, I believe that is correct.
Did that answer your question, Fernando?
Yes, thank you.
Cool. All right, I have received no other nominations. Can I get we're just going to do a hand vote because I don't want to do anything with Heal Life at this moment. So if you would like to agree to nominate Hashem as the Speaker of the Senate, please raise your hands for aye.
I have a question. Can we hear from
Yes.
Hashem why he would like to be speaker?
Sure. Would you like to speak on this, Hashem? Do you want the microphone or do you want?
Can people hear me all right? Is this okay on Zoom?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity and thank you, Senator Lauren, for asking me to speak. Yeah, the primary reason I'm doing this is because as we transition away from the old structure to the new structure of the leadership of the Senate, I'm just hoping that I can be someone who can work with all the different parties in the Senate to have a smooth transition that really establishes a good precedent for working with everyone, precedent in terms of recusing oneself when discussing your own bill or a bill that you want to enter debate and things like that. I think even though I am a very opinionated person, I've generally been someone who has respected everyone's opinion and everyone's input. And I think that's really what drives me, is to hopefully try to work together despite disagreements that arise. Thank you.
Thank you. And could I go ahead, if you say aye, can you please raise your hands up? I'm just going to get a visual. I'm not going to count y'all off. Okay. Please lower your hands and please lower your hands on Zoom. For those that object, please raise your hands. All right, and for those that abstain, thank you, Hashem. you can go ahead and lower your hands. By clear majority, we are electing Hashem as the Speaker of the Senate, and so I am going to turn this over to him.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, Will, for everything throughout the year and for making this transition smooth. Thank you for your vote and confidence, but I want to move to the business at hand since we have a very tight schedule. I have received confirmation from 7 different bills agreeing to postpone them to an emergency meeting that I would call at 5:30 a week from today. The bills are 5.5, the code review. Can I get confirmation now? Yes, okay. Energy transition resolution. Yep, okay. Fair 2 Act. Cool. Town Hall Deadline Act. Thank you. And recall election clarification. Okay. BO amendments is my bill. And reform USG resolution. Can I get a, okay. So I have confirmation for all of these. Are there any authors or sponsors at this time who would be willing to also postpone their bill from a week from today? Because the reality is that even without these, when we subtract these 7, we still have 7 more bills that would have to be, we would have, I can't math, we still have 16 bills to go through, which is still very unrealistic. Are there any other bills? Yes. When was the last time that there was said there was going to be one?
I can speak on that. Everybody able to hear me? So the reason we did not have an emergency meeting, and sorry it was not communicated over spring break, the reason we didn't have an emergency meeting was because it was realized that if we impeach the Board of Elections, we cannot have an election because they immediately have to cease all actions regarding Board of Election. It's not like they can continue to do their job while in the impeached status. So it was realized that because we were having a Senate meeting, elections for the Senate, and then because the GPSG election was delayed, if we removed the entirety of the Board of Elections, there would have been no election at all.
Yeah, I will certainly call a meeting a week from today. One of my bills will be on that meeting as well. I'm definitely planning to call it.
55-056.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So we have 8 bills. Anyone else would be willing to? Okay, yes.
I do not have a bill on the floor. I just have a question. So, MRN Linguistics, if we subtract the bills which are nominations for cabinet positions and directors, since those are less likely to incur long periods of debate, how many bills do we still have on the agenda for tonight?
Um, 23 minus 7 minus 8. We'd have 8 bills. So 8 bills plus 7 7 nomination bills. Am I correct in that we have 7 nomination bills?
I think it's 6.
Oh, apologies. Okay, so we'd have 9. We'd have 9 bills. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and move. We'll take a motion now to remove these bills from the agenda. And as we go through, we can figure out how we can manage that. Is there a motion?
Moved.
Okay, I have a motion to remove 055, 056, 057, 059, 60, 62, 63, and 64. Do I have a second for this motion? Any objections to this motion? Okay, this motion passes. We will now proceed to the legislation. Okay, first we have
An act to approve the Vice President for Advocacy and Governmental Affairs. President. Yes, I believe so. Can I get a clarification on the?
You're considered a subject matter expert on it, so you can be recognized by the presiding officer, Hashim, to speak on it.
Yeah. President Fraser?
Sorry, 1 second, I'm pulling up my stuff. Can I speak? Okay. So yes, Aaron Wright, is my nomination for Vice President of Advocacy and Governmental Affairs. Aaron has a very extensive CV in which, Aaron collaborated directly with Provost Clemens, Dean Mayor Beth Davis, and the faculty council leadership in this past year. Aaron has worked directly with Elaine in most of these works that got us, that slight stipend increase. And I say slight very, very hard when I say slight. Nothing to help anyone live comfortably off of it. And so Aaron, I thought, was a no-brainer kind of candidate. Aaron went through everything with ONA, and ONA thought that Aaron should be approved for this.
Thank you, President Fraser. Are there any questions on the floor at this time? Professor Beck, Senator Beck.
Samantha Beck, pathology. Is Aaron here tonight? Hello, Aaron. Could we have Aaron just talk for like 1 minute about why you want this position and what you're thinking for the future? And most likely, I'm gonna say that for everyone.
Yeah, given that this is part of the subject matter, please do. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. I have not used one of these. I didn't want to blow everyone's ears up. Okay. Hi, I'm Erin Wright. I'm a second year in sociology. And I applied for this position after in this past year really realizing how much the higher level leadership within this university is able to impact our day-to-day lives, so that in like advocacy within our departments is not actually enough to be making a tangible difference. I put together a comparison of stipends and costs of living between us and our peer institutions to sort of break down the wall with administration, so that it became clear to them that there was truly an issue. Now that I've at least gotten that far, the goal that I have in taking this position in the next year is really making sure, or really trying, that we get that sizable increase that we need just to be able to live fulfilling and complete lives and not be taking side jobs, so that we can continue to be here, which keeps us from our research.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the candidate or for President Fraser? Senator Mehrabi.
Not a question. I just want to say I don't think there's been a single person who's nominated to this position who is more qualified than Aaron. I fully support this. I'm very excited to see what you can do for the GPSG.
Do I have a motion to call the previous question? Do I have a second? Any objections? Seeing none, I will move to the next bill. 6.7, an act to approve the Director of Advocacy. President Fraser.
Yes, so Carmen is in the room. Carmen also has a very extensive kind of CV within the realm of advocacy. I know one of my greatest things of knowing Carmen is for Stand Up for Science. So, and if you don't know, it was a gathering that happened not that long ago to kind of talk against everything that has happened to STEM PhDs, master's students, anyone in the science realm. I will let Carmen speak more just to save time.
Hi, I'm Carmen, first year in BBSP, soon to be computational and bioinformatics with the School of Medicine. And essentially why I'm so pressed to be in the advocacy position. As Leah said, I was one of the admins for Senate for Science. I emceed the event, which was a rally that we held nationwide to kind of go against the Trump administration and their malice towards STEM careers and people of all different sorts of backgrounds. I've also been a part of the LGBTQIA recruitment for the students here at UNC, specifically for the School of Medicine, but one of my goals is to unite the other programs because this university is so big and community is one of my main pillars. So I'd like for everyone to feel like they have a type of community here because I didn't know so many people just in my cohort and in my program. I can't imagine the outreach that we could have if somebody in such an astute position could really put that out. And then, yeah.
Thank you both. Any questions from the floor?
The question?
I have a motion to call the question, the previous question. Do I have a second? Any objections? Seeing none, this motion passes. We now move on to 6.8, an act to approve the Director of Academic Affairs. President Fraser.
Yeah, so academic affairs, I got a nomination from Neil. Neil is currently already in, or I guess depending on what time it is, was in this position already. Neil has done a bunch of work for grad students. One of the biggest things that he's done is AI work. I don't know if Neil is necessarily on Zoom right now. I know he did tell me he had something to do at 6 o'clock. So yes.
Neil, are you on Zoom? I have a question from Senator Ben King.
Thank you. Ben King, Public Administration. Just wanted to say that the committee thoroughly examined Neil. Similar to some of the other positions we've talked about, he's one of the most competent people that we've talked to. And so having said that, I would like to move the question.
A motion to move to call the previous question. Do you have a second? Any objections to the motion? Seeing none, this motion passes. We now move to 6.9, an act to approve Senior Vice President. President Fraser, you have the floor.
Yes, so Paul, right here beside me to the left, is here. He has had he's worked in fast-paced environments. And so when I kind of told him that we were gonna be changing what SVP kind of looked like, he was very willing to help. I think one of the biggest things that I told him that we needed to work on was fixing our bills. Anything that was from this past year or the year before is kind of not currently in our code right now. And so that's the biggest thing I kind of want Paul to help me with, and then helping to fill in this chief of staff position until I find one.
Can everybody hear me? All right. Thank you very much for the introduction, President Fraser. My name is Paul Alabrandy, third year pharmacy student. Just wanted to say thank you very much for having me here. I'm happy to serve. I fully agree with what President Fraser said about the code. I do really support equity, access, and inclusion for all students. I want to serve and uplift my peers, and I want to be of service in any way I can. So please come to me and let me help you as much as I can.
Any questions or remarks from the floor? Seeing none, do I have a motion to call the previous question?
Moved.
Do I have a second? Any objections to the motion? Seeing none, we move to 7.0, an act to approve Director of Health and Wellness. President Fraser.
So Sam is, was in this position also. It came from the Youth Administration. She has done an amazing job this past year with grad cafes and with our 2 wellness festivals. We got a whole lot of turnout with these events. And so I'll let Sam continue anything.
Everyone hear me okay? Okay. Hi, my name is Sam. I'm a first year MPH student over at Gillings in the Global Health Concentration. Yeah, I served on Katie Heath's administration with the cabinet. as Director of Health and Wellness. I stepped in August, so I was here then as well. And kind of transitioned myself into the role. And in doing so, I think we had great turnout at, like President Frazier said, grad cafes. The one today even, there was an amazing turnout despite the chilly weather and the last minute date change. So yeah, and our Fall Wellness Festival had over 700 attendees. But there's so much more that I wasn't able to do, especially given my limited guidance in this role at the time. And so, yeah, I know mental health, especially at this time among graduate and professional students, is a massive concern in most, if not all of the people that I talked to during my tenure in the role. That was number one. So there's so much that we can do. There's so much that needs to be done. And I have a lot of connections that I've made this year that I really want to utilize moving forward. So, yeah.
Thank you. Are there any questions or remarks from the floor at this time? Seeing none, do we have a motion to call the question? Do I have a second? Any objections to the motion? Seeing none, this motion is adopted. Now Bill 071, an act to approve the Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion, President Frazier.
Yes, so Henry over here at the end is my nomination for this. Henry himself is an international student, and one of the biggest things that he brought to me with this was trying to include international students more in graduate and professional issues. And I thought this was very timely considering the state of how we are right now in the world, especially here. I think Henry has a true passion for this. Henry went to an HBCU for his master's degree, and so has a lot of experience in the diversity, equity, and inclusion realm.
Hello, everyone. My name is Henry. I'm second year cell biology and physiology PhD, and I'm glad to be in your presence. One of the reasons why I'm applying for this role is to ensure that I create an environment where all grad students' unique identity are celebrated. And I hope to work to support the diversity of UNC grad students in any and every way that I can, including the LGBT community, the international students, the students with physical challenges, as well, making the campus more accessible to them. And finally, one of my initiatives is to create an event that, such as a global fest and cultural showcase that would encourage cross-cultural dialogue within grad students and for us to be to feel more appreciated for who we are and where we come from. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or remarks from the floor at this time? Seeing none, do we have a motion to call the previous question? Do we have a second for that motion? Any objections to the motion? Seeing none, we will now move. So I made my first mistake as speaker, and actually the agenda had some stuff before legislation. But here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to go ahead. We're going to do voting in 4 different blocks today, thanks to Will. So we're going to open the voting now for the 7 bills that were just discussed. During that 6 bills, I apologize. During that time, we'll have time for the open forum. Okay, I see. And then just the JGC nominations and summer governance, is that? Okay, so let's do open forum. I believe we have someone already on the docket. I believe it's Senator Baker. Sorry about that.
Hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Be interesting to hold down the whole time. All right, can y'all hear me? Okay. Dear fellow senators, I am Avery Baker, Senator from Public Policy.
I come to speak to you today in our public comment period and, with abundant respect to your time, will be very brief in my address. Many of us are aware of the recent controversy regarding the election of our next GPSG president. One aspect of which few of us are aware concerns likely the only rule truly violated throughout the course of the election. A student Supreme Court justice entered the race for GPSG president, violating Rule 79A5 of the Student Supreme Court bylaws, which strictly prohibits justices and court personnel from campaigning or publicly enforcing any candidate for student office. This justice, a former GPSG presidential hopeful, then adjudicated both Nissa Tucker versus Board of Elections lawsuits without recusal. I brought this matter to the attention of the Oversight and Accountability Committee during the course of legislative review of the suitable course of action for a judicial official violating ethical constraints. Impeachment. This is not being voted on tonight because it failed in committee, but I still felt it important to let everyone know what is happening in our judicial system. The egregious error described above and failure to recuse from cases directly concerning the race he entered is compounded by continued ethical violations. Just yesterday, this justice brazenly met with defendant Katie Fiore in the ongoing Student Supreme Court lawsuit number 24-009, Liam Cuppet versus Undergraduate Senate. Contact outside of formal court proceedings during a trial is not just wrong, it's ex parte, illegal and unethical conduct for a justice of our Supreme Court. I therefore am resorting to this address to you all today. Please join me in censoring this violation of justice by Andrew Gary. Please be prepared to support future impeachment proceedings towards this justice and consider participating in the Oversight and Accountability Committee. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Senator Baker. Would you like to take any questions, Senator Baker, or not at this time?
Not at this time, but anybody can reach out to me if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other members of the Senate who would like to speak at this time during the open forum, or any other guests? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which I believe is the election of the JGC members. So something that is, the current code actually asks us to elect 3 members of the JGC, which I believe is to be a typo. It's supposed to say 4. I would actually, we could go ahead and, I mean, there's 2 ways we can go about this. We can go ahead and elect 3, we can go ahead and elect 4. Or we can go ahead and wait till the bill that's on the floor right now that fixes that and then vote on it at the next meeting, which would save us some time, but would require a motion to remove that from the agenda. Well, I think I have preference for the third option, but I'll leave it for you all on the floor to make that motion if you want. Senator Merhabi?
GC. So if for whatever reason an emergency meeting can't be called before, then I know that you intend to call it on the 15th, I think.
Yeah.
But just in case we cannot, then we wouldn't have JGC members on the JGC for next week's meeting.
So, and they wouldn't have quorum, so they wouldn't have to meet, right? Correct? If
Right. Although given that some of the bills on our impeachment, all right.
Okay. President Frazier?
Thinking back to the standing rules, I think they would have quorum because you just need 4 voting members. It doesn't say from both sides. So I would let you know that.
They wouldn't be able to pass anything, I believe, because you need to have somebody from GPSG and some undergrad to actually pass anything. Can somebody back me up on that?
For certain
things, not everything.
but not necessarily everything.
Yeah, not for everything.
And also, wasn't it, did we change that it was the summer, like chairs or summer governance that was JGC? Is it separate now?
So the way it works is before it was like currently it's the 4 chairs, so GAPS, Finance, Rules and Judiciary, and ONA sit on JGC. In the past, it was assumed that during the summer, those chairs no longer existed because apparently their committees would disappear at the end of this legislative session. That's not the case anymore based on how we've amended summer governance. So currently it would just, but the code still says that we elect them for the summer. So I think the election would have to happen anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Any clarification?
MRN linguistics. So the code currently says 3. We believe this is a typo. If, say, the undergraduate side asks us, why have you sent 4 when your code says 3? Do we have somewhere else we can point to show why we believe this is a typo?
Probably not. Not that I'm aware of.
I would actually say, I think the joint code does specify 4.
Okay.
So,
Right.
or the Constitution, one of those two.
Okay. Do I have a motion at this time? If I do not have a motion, we will go into voting on JGC members. Do I have a motion? Okay, I have a motion to amend the agenda to remove the JGC election at this time. Do I have a second? Oh, okay. No worries. The motion has been withdrawn. Do I have a motion at this time to amend the agenda? Seeing none, we will go ahead and proceed with JGC election. If you would like to nominate yourself to serve in the interim term of JGC, which means you start after this meeting all the way until the first meeting in September, please raise your hand either on Zoom or in the meeting. Okay, so I have, I believe we have 4. I have 5. I can't really see Zoom well enough. Okay. We have Senator Baker. I mean, could we let me write these down. Do we do these in nations? Okay. Okay, so we have 4. I saw 5 hands, so you can put your hands down now. I'm just going to go in the order. We have 5 people who are nominating themselves and 4 spots, so we are going to have an election. So I will go ahead and I'm trying to remember if the rules, I don't think the rules specify a certain form for debate. So I'm going to go ahead and ask that you speak for 1.5 minutes maximum, and maybe we'll hold the vote after that. I think I saw your hand first, Senator Marhabi, so why don't you go ahead?
Hi, my name is Omar. I've served on the JGC since January of this year as the finance chair. During my time on JGC, I have very much advocated for the graduate students. As you know, the JGC is a forum where, it's both the graduate students and the undergrads sitting together. Even in scenarios where I have not, for example, on certain resolutions, I abstained, but then in JGC, I went and defended them because I think what's important on JGC is to represent the actual legislature that you are elected from. And so that is not a position where I represent my own views. It's the views of this body that I represent, and that's what I always aim for. On JGC, I was the person who, when the undergraduates proposed a new joint code, I brought it to this floor and I said, we need to make a committee to review this. And I wrote the bill for that and got it through. I was also responsible for ensuring that the undergraduates didn't elect a chair that will say wasn't, or didn't nominate a chair that will say wasn't very pro-graduate student interests in the most recent meeting. And so I think that I have given a lot to the JGC and would love to continue serving on it in that capacity. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I saw Senator Baker's hand next.
Hello, guys. My name is Avery Baker, Senator from Public Policy. I am nominating myself for this position because I have been extremely involved since I was elected to GPSG Senate last fall. I have both authored and co-sponsored numerous pieces of legislation and consistently voted with the majority of the graduate Senate. So I believe that my values are very in line with the graduate and professional student body. I have also worked with the current student body president to write policy that advocates for the interests of graduate students, including reproductive and preventive healthcare coverage and campus wage increases and many other policies that are currently slipping my mind. And I have always continued to take principled stances against injustice and have also studied the GPSG code, know a lot about it, and am very familiar with the processes of student government.
Thank you, Senator. I believe I saw Senator Fowler's hand on Zoom next.
Hello, thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mandy Fowler. I am with the Department of English and Comparative Literature. I've represented my department as senator for the past year. During this time, I have voted yes on countless travel award and appropriations resolutions and voted into law and or co-sponsored or co-signed the no confidence resolutions for Chancellor Roberts and Provost Clemens, the resolution to remove Officer Rasheem Holland from his position, and the resolution condemning our university's compliance with ICE on campus. I have also served this year as a member of the Rules and Judiciary Committee. Prior to GPSG, I served in multiple roles within my department's graduate student organization as co-president, vice president, and treasurer. In these roles, I exercised my skills in conflict resolution, advocacy, and collaboration to improve the working conditions of my peers. Outside of my various roles in student governance, I work as an instructor of record for undergraduate students. I've taught undergraduate students in the university setting for more than a decade. And at UNC, I've had the pleasure of working closely with undergraduate students for more than 6 years. I believe my 6 years of experience working with UNC undergraduate students, combined with my experience serving as a representative of graduate students for nearly as much time, makes me a particularly qualified candidate to serve on the Joint Governance Council, where I would be serving the needs of both graduate and undergraduate students. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the next speaker I saw was Senator Valenzuela.
Yes, thank you. Jerry Valenzuela, Biomedical Engineering. So I'm a second-year senator here and third-year graduate student of biomedical engineering. I will say, at least my first year is just getting my get my grounding on how GPSG works and advocating for my constituents in BME. And this year I took on the role of joining SOGAP's committee and supporting our committee along with Ellen for our chair to pass some resolutions that were very difficult that had a lot of difficult decisions and very controversial, but in the very end are really important for advocating for graduate students, whether that be at least in this new administration or condemning the administration here at UNC for the actions that they're taking that go against the interests of graduate students. I would say that summer governance would be the next step. I do want to get myself more involved and get more experience as a senator and now potentially a committee member here in JGC. And also it makes me happy that there's everybody else that is being nominated has also ample experience in the committee that I'm looking forward to support if I'm voted in. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. And then the last speaker, I apologize, I don't know your last name, Senator Paula.
Yes, I apologize. I accidentally raised my hand. Sorry.
Sorry? What was that? Could you say that again?
Yes, that raising my hand, I accidentally raised my hand. I was not. Sorry.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, unless we have another nomination, I think we are set and we don't need to vote. At least that's how we've been doing things in the past. Any objections to that? Okay, seeing none, congratulations. We have a JGC team now. Okay. Moving on. Oh, so summer governance, yes. Yeah, so there's a couple of things we still need to do, which is the first one is, I guess, an update on summer governance, since that's done through committees and committee chairs. And we need to elect President Pro Tempore for the summer session. Can I get a quick update from the committee chairs about summer governance, please? Senator Beck.
Samantha Beck, Pathology, and Chair of the Appropriations Committee. I will be the chair, since I'm solely chair, I will be participating in summer governance.
Hoch, Senator Hoch.
Yes,
Molly Hook, Biostatistics, Chair of RNJ. I will be continuing as Chair of RNJ on summer governance.
Senator Merhabi.
Sorry, I actually fully neglected to ask my committee members this, but given that they're all here, I do want to ask anyone on finance wants to be on summer governance. Otherwise, I will go ahead and do it myself.
Okay.
Okay.
Go for it, man.
Looks like I will be
Okay.
on summer governance.
Other committee chairs. Yep. SOGAPs.
Yeah, sorry. Chair Valenzuela, biomedical engineering. For SOGAPs, Ellen isn't here today, but we did have a discussion where she was going to nominate me. I'm not sure if you got any communication on that. Thank you. If that's good with everybody, then that's going to be the plan.
Okay, and do we have an update from ONA and travel awards, I think?
This Fernando Quijano, business PhD and chair of the Travel Awards Committee. I will be serving as the nominee for summer governance for Travel Awards.
Okay. Does ONA get a seat as well? I'm trying to remember. Everyone gets a seat. Okay. ONA, do we have Senator King? Are you here? I think maybe he stepped up.
Hi, I'm here. I'll be graduating, and no one from my committee has expressed interest, so it's up for grabs.
According to the code, if no one steps up, we actually will call for volunteers from the General Senate. Would anyone like to be in summer governance? Just to clarify what summer governance does, you would act as all the standing committees in case something has to be approved. You would also do all the travel awards stuff. You would also technically do a standing rules review. They would be chair of them, but those committees don't actually do anything over the summer. Yeah. So we have Senator Wren. Anyone else? Seeing no volunteers, we do not need to hold an election. Congratulations, we have summer governance. Okay. Last order of business before we move back to the bills. Do we have any nominees for President Pro Tempore? I believe we have a nomination already from Senator Alana, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, Despain. Are there any other nominations at this time? Seeing none, would you like to take a minute or a couple to speak, Senator Despain?
I don't want to take too much time because we have a really long meeting, but I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve. I also, like Hashim, really want to be a part of this transition and making sure that everything can be collaborative now that we have the new JGC situation. And I'm just really excited to serve. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Senator Despain? Seeing none, let's move ahead to a vote. All those in favor of having Senator Despain be elected as President Pro Tempore of the Senate, please raise your hands on Zoom as well. Again, on Zoom, if you're voting in favor of Senator Alana being nominated, okay. Okay, everyone, please raise your hands, lower your hands at this time. All those voting against, please raise your hands. All those voting and all those abstaining, please raise your hand at this time. Okay, with that, congratulations. Okay. We will move back to the legislation at this time. Again, remember the ballot has already opened to vote on the nominations for the executive branch, so make sure you're filling those out. Moving on. We have an modernizing academic affairs with career in mind. I believe President Pro Tempore Meloci, are you the sponsor of that? Would you like to introduce the bill?
So this would be a quick bill. It's just basically looking, this has been working in consultation with Neil,
who's the director right now and will be taking over again this upcoming year, about ways to help modernize and make the role of Director of Academic Affairs a better position. And it adds in a professional development role to, help make sure that it's not just about the academics, but it's also career looking, and helping, improve the role of that so that this way we can improve, not just progressing through the academics, but, with your professional career as well. So it adds on working onto that. So I'm happy to take any questions. And I don't know if Neil's online or not, but I know he'll happily take any as well.
I believe Neil is not online because we had asked him to speak earlier.
I've been texting him, he's here.
Oh, Neil is here. Is that what you're saying, Senator Rackley?
Yeah, sorry.
Neil, would you like to speak? Oh, yeah, I see Neil. Would you like to speak on this?
Absolutely, Senator. So in the interest of time, I just want to say that in my 3 years working in academic affairs on the undergraduate side and the graduate side, I'm a firm believer of this. There can be no academic mobility without professional tools and resources. So anything that we're learning on the grounds in all our graduate and professional schools, there needs to be a professional element to it. So in the past, these relationships with University Career Center and CareerWell have come to the fore to allow us to take what we've learned to actual professional success post-Carolina. And these two need to continue to be married together and bridged together. So that's something that I'm advocating for and something that I hope, even if I don't get to continue in the future, is a focus for the next director of academic affairs. It's just something that needs to happen.
Thank you. Are there any questions or remarks about this bill at this time, or any questions? Seeing none, do I have any motions on the floor at this time? Perhaps a motion to call the previous question? Do I have a second? That motion passes. We will now move to the next item on the agenda, which is a resolution impeaching Tory Theodore for gross nonfeasance in their capacity as a member of the Board of Elections. I would actually like to suggest, if the sponsors of the 3 impeachment resolutions are okay with it, I would like to propose a motion to suspend the rules as they stand to discuss all 3 at once.
I would move that.
Okay, I have a motion to suspend the rules. Senator King, are you okay with setting that for now, at least for 10 minutes?
Sure, that works.
Okay, suspending rules for 10 minutes in order to discuss all 3 at once.
Okay.
Do I have a second for that motion? Do I have any objections to this motion? Seeing none, we are currently in suspension of the rules in order to discuss the 3 bills. Senator King, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I apologize that I couldn't be there in person with folks tonight, but I'm currently on vacation, zooming in. I'll try to make this brief. So the Oversight and Accountability Committee conducted an investigation into all members of the Board of Elections following reports that a ballot box for the student body presidential election had been left unattended with no supervision, with a stack of ballots right next to them. So the way that the committee led this investigation was we reached out to every member of the Board of Elections at the time, which was Elias North, Cormac Lynch, Tory Theodore, and Dennis Erdahl. Dennis resigned. I'll start with Tory. Tory was confirmed last fall, but unfortunately has not responded to any emails from the board, has not been to any meetings. She's just kind of been MIA, unfortunately. I was able to get her to respond to 2 of my emails very much after the fact. And she did have some extenuating family circumstances. But I've tried to communicate with her about maybe her best steps moving forward, and still no response. And so what I'll say is that these folks do get a stipend. It's not a huge one, but they are getting money that could otherwise be spent on appropriations or to someone who is really dedicated to doing the job of a member of the Board of Elections. And so That's really the case against Tories that they haven't been to any meetings, haven't responded to any emails from the board, haven't certified any elections, which is really unfortunate. I guess, would it be okay if I took questions on the Tory Theodore resolution right now and then kind of move to the other ones?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, any questions on that one specifically?
Okay, we have no questions on the floor, so let's move on to the next one, Senator
Okay,
King.
thank you. Next one is for
I
Elias.
apologize. Senator King, I apologize. There was one question that I didn't see.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Please, in the back.
Hi, Brittany Alcera with Biochemistry and Biophysics. I was just curious, the absence of Tori, is that just from like our interaction with Tori, or does the Board of Elections also feel the same way about her communication style?
It's the same way. So it's sort of two-faceted. In our investigation, we interviewed every other member of the board, and every member said that they had never met Tori, never texted, emailed, never had any communication with them. Like I said, I've had 2 email correspondences with her, but it was basically saying she had extenuating family circumstances, but didn't really offer a way to move forward. Any other questions?
There are none on this floor at this time.
Okay, thank you. So the next resolution pertains to Elias North. He is the chair of the Board of Elections. You'll notice the other 2 resolutions are for gross nonfeasance. This one is for gross misfeasance, which is a little different. So in our investigation, we found a couple things. One of those was that Elias personally put that ballot box that I talked about outside of the student government suite. He just put it on the floor with a stack of ballots next to it. This was personally confirmed by 2 students we interviewed who provided picture, testimony, and screenshots of different things which proved that they saw the box just on the floor unattended. We asked Mr. North about it, and he said that he did it thinking that students would act in good faith and that didn't think there could be any chance of fraud. I would like to assume that this would be the case, but you just can't do that. Also, another big theme that we found was that Mr. North was acting unilaterally on behalf of the Board of Elections without consulting anyone else on the board. Though there have been struggles with hearing from other members of the Board of Elections and getting feedback from folks, Elias was making really big decisions pertaining to the board and the administration of elections without consulting other members of the board. And so in the interest of time, I'll kind of leave it at that. And if someone has a question, I can answer questions on that specific resolution.
Any questions at this time about that specific resolution? There are currently none on the floor.
Okay, thank you. The last one pertains to Cormac Lynch. Cormac is the other undergraduate member. Cormac is kind of the mix of the 2 previous resolutions. He has been derelict in his duties of replying to correspondences, going to meetings. I don't want to. He was very fuzzy on information he provided to the committee, especially with regard to we asked him why it took him so long to get back to the committee, and he kind of lied and said that the board was trying to coordinate a coordinated response. We followed up with another question, and that was proven to be a bold-faced lie. He took over 72 hours to respond to some emails. That's not really why we're impeaching him. The reason why we're impeaching him is because he has not been responsive in his duties as a member of the board. And like I said, these people get stipends, and so we're spending money on someone that is not doing their duty as a member. And so we need to sort of clear house with folks that aren't doing their job. I'll leave that there, and I'd be happy to take questions on that specific resolution as well.
Any questions on the floor about this specific resolution or about any of the resolutions? Given that, we still have 3 minutes in the suspension of the rules. Do I have a motion to, I guess, end the suspension of the rules? Okay, do I have a second? Okay, any objections? Okay, the meeting is back in order. Technically, we're still now at the first resolution, but I will look for a motion to call the question on the first one, to call the previous question. Do I have that motion? Do I have a second for that motion? Any objections to the motion? Seeing none, we will now move to the resolution regarding Elias North. Do I have a motion to call the previous question? Do I have a second for that motion? Do I have any objections to the motion? Seeing none, this motion passes. The next one is the Cormac resolution. Do I have a motion to call the previous question? Do I have a second? Do I have any objections? Seeing none, we will move on. Could you pull up the...
Everybody able to hear me? Since we're doing this in 4 voting blocks, this will be the end of ballot number 2. And we are going to go ahead and go to, it opens up in 3 minutes. So that might be why you see it.
Point of clarification, you just said this will be the end of ballot 2, or do you mean the beginning of ballot 2? Because ballot 2 is not open yet.
Yes, ballot 2 opens up in 3 minutes as we are going through these more rapidly than previous thought. Generally, we just open all ballots at 7 o'clock. So it'll open up in about 2.5 minutes.
So no ballot is suddenly closing before it opens. Ballot 2 is about to open.
All 4 ballots that we are doing tonight will be open up until we end the meeting.
We're just opening them after we discuss the bills in blocks. So now ballot 2 is open, which if you want to do the QR code, it's this one, but it should be in here live. So go ahead and vote on that.
I have about 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. It's going to open at 7. Yeah. So it's scheduled. The reason it's like that is actually it has a scheduled time. So it's going to open in 3 minutes. We're not going to worry about changing that. So just check in 3 minutes. We're going to move on with the agenda. Next up, we have... Okay, this is the appropriations bill. Senator Beck.
Oh, there we go. So this is our last appropriations request for the fiscal year, meaning that summer governance can't do this anymore. So this is it, last money we're spending for this year. There were, oh gosh, I forget how many. You can see it in the chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All asking for usually money for different end of year events, whether it's symposiums or administration change offs, etc. And so we ended this appropriation cycle spending a little under $5,000, which means for the year, we spent roughly 33,000 and had roughly 10,000 left in our budget.
Are there any questions at this time? Any remarks, any motions? Is there a motion to call the previous question? Is there a second for that motion? Are there any objections to the motion? I see no objections, therefore the motion passes. Next up, we have travel awards. I believe Senator Quijano, are you the one presenting that bill?
Yep.
Wonderful.
Senator Fernando Quijano, business PhD and chair of the Travel Awards Committee. This last bill of the session as well is for all the remaining travel from here until June. So it covers all this period annual conference travel for that. We had a total of 61 applicants, of which 21 were awarded for a total of $11,154. This leaves a total budget remaining for the year of 69 cents. This was also done by working with the GSPG controller to know how much of the travel awards that had already been assigned throughout the year, how much money they were actually requested for, which represented a balance that we were able to apply to this final session, and therefore fund more applications that we have been able to do in previous sessions. And it overall worked with the plan that we had working towards this, was to save towards this session, knowing that there were going to be a lot more applications because it covers more months than the rest.
Thank you, Senator. Are there any questions at this time? Any motions? Yeah, Senator Harvey, you have a question?
Since you've spent down the entire budget with this bill, you don't aim to fund any travel awards for June, like May through July, I assume, right?
So this considers all travel, conference travel up till June. So this includes April, May, and June travel, and then travel starting in July is considered as part of sovereign governance and will be confirmed and approved in the September session. Therefore, everything related to travel starting in July will be reviewed and used funds from next year.
Are there any questions? Any motions? Do I have a motion to call the previous question? Thank you. Do I have a second? Do I have any objections to the motion? Seeing none, we will move on. Yeah, so we're skipping the code audit and we're doing no starving student. We're also skipping no starving students. The fossil fuel and energy we're also skipping. Okay, we have 5.8, a resolution honoring Keegan James for his service on the Board of Elections. Senator King, Senator Wren, yes. Do you have a point of clarification?
It is past 7 o'clock, so the second voting should be open, but I am not yet able to see it.
No.
Yeah, all right, thank you, Will. Thank you to Senator Wren. Senator King, if you're ready, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the resolution we've got in front of us is a resolution basically thanking Keegan James for his service. As you might remember, we voted on him at the last Senate meeting to appoint him and approve him. He came on very quick process and did the GPSG election and helped administer that. Afterwards, of course, we know there were some turmoil with the election. He faced personal attacks that were not just. And so seeing that, he chose to resign in a very well-worded email sent out. And so I wrote this resolution basically just to thank him for his service on the Board of Elections. I think it's really unfortunate that we have people coming in to student government hoping to do the right thing and to do good things, only to be forced out by people that are wanting to make things personal and to advance their own interests. And so I just want to thank him for his service with this resolution.
Are there any questions on the floor at this time? Seeing none, do I have a motion to call the previous question? Thank you, Senator Beck. Do I have a second? Any objections? Seeing none, this motion passes. Actually, because we took out a bunch out of the previous bills. We're actually at the third ballot time, but SVP Boyer, is it open? All right. Do note that all four are going to be on the ballot, but we're only counting the votes on appropriations and travel and Keegan James. Okay? Yes. Okay, then hold off on voting, please. Do not vote on ballot 3 until we correct that. Let's move on while we work on that. Let's go to, okay, so the FAIR Act, I believe we are skipping. Let me just give me 1 second, please. Town hall meeting is also extended. Okay. President Pro Tempore, Nick, could you preside over the meeting for the next bill since it's my bill?
Senator Hashman, Mayor Economics. So this bill is.
What's the number again, Patrick?
So this bill has little impact on what it does over JGC over the summer, especially because we just elected members of the JGC over the summer. What it does do is primarily changes how JGC operates throughout the year. And instead of having chairs of committees be our representatives in JGC, it would be elected similarly to how we did today, but in September. The idea is that my personal preference is that if something has to be adopted by both, is relevant to both constituencies, it should go through both Senates. This will require a constitutional amendment, and this should be the long-term solution. And it shouldn't just go through JGC. But in the meantime, I'm trying to make JGC just one step closer to the electorate. How it stands right now, there's too many layers of representation, how I see it. So the graduate students elect senators, senators elect committees, committees elect chairs, and then the chair becomes on JGC. So this kind of takes it one step closer to the electorate and to the Senate by directly electing to the JGC. Happy to take any questions at this time.
Any questions? Yeah, go for it.
Senator Wren pointed out that these would be unpaid since usually those members used to get paid in their position as chairs of those committees. Over the summer, they will be paid because they actually will, well, no, they won't be paid. Never mind. That was wrong. They will not be paid still. There's a question of incentives, whether people will fill these positions. We did have people luckily today who were willing to fill the position, but this is definitely something that should be considered down the line of whether these positions should be paid, especially since the budget bill that's going to come later will pay all committee members, even the standing committees. So yeah, that's just wanted to add that.
Senator Wren.
Linguistics. Thank you, Hashem, for pointing that out. I'd also like to make everyone aware, we spend, I believe about 40% of our budget on stipends already.
57%.
57% of our budget on stipends already. So I personally would like to keep these positions as volunteer so that we are not forced to reallocate about $2,000 if we want to pay them at parity with committee members away from things like travel or the emergency fund or appropriations to your constituents.
Just to also add to that, sorry, I also questioned the ability of us to be able to pay members of the JGC because in those roles, they are not serving on the GPSG, they're serving in a joint capacity, and paying people in a joint capacity is questionable if it's not delineated like the Board of Elections and such like positions like that. Could I respond to?
Question. Go ahead. You want to respond and then?
Just the last question. I mean, JGC meets more often than the committee, and maybe this should be more of a discussion that's pertinent to the omnibus bill. But
and like, I don't think we need to address this today, but JGC meets more often, and I think they should get preference. Like maybe we could reduce how much money the standing committee members make and move some of that to JGC members, something like that. So I think there is a way to go about it. I do not see why we wouldn't be able to pay JGC members that are representing us and that we appoint to the JGC, because they do represent us and we should have the ability to pay them, even if it's a joint capacity.
Go ahead, question in the back.
Brittany from biochemistry and biophysics. I can agree with the remarks that were said before. We didn't have an issue filling those positions. I know in the past it was an issue. So I don't necessarily think that we need to necessarily fund those positions and take, like was echoed before, allocations that could be used for travel awards or appropriations, which is given back to the students that we serve. And then also too, in terms of JGC meeting more often, is this gonna be after we pass this bill, or is that in general?
Can you people hear me? Yeah. It already meets twice a month as opposed to standing committees, which meet once a month. It also meets over the summer, which the standing committees do not do.
Go ahead, Samantha Beck.
Oh, sorry, Samantha Beck, pathology. I do want to point out in this bill as well, that it says that anybody, regardless of their position on any committees, chairs, except as long as they're a senator, can hold JGC positions as well. So if you want to get paid by a committee and still be on JGC, you can absolutely do that.
Go ahead.
Margaret Hook, biostatistics, and also just a point of clarification, correct me if I'm misremembering, but I think this bill has chairs of R&J and finance still have to attend JGC, right? Was that how it shook out in the end?
Yes, so they still would have to attend in a non-voting ex officio capacity. They can, obviously, if they become members, then they can do that as voting members, but they will have to attend, yes.
Senator Wren.
Emma Wren, linguistics. Question to Hashem. Did the amendment we were discussing earlier about potentially moving R&J and finance, since they're already ex officio, to the top of that list of proxies, is that a friendly amendment?
Yes, that is a friendly amendment. So it is to move the order in the, I don't have my laptop in front of me because I left it up there because I didn't think this through. But is it okay if I come up real quick?
So yes, so the amendment is, I believe, Senator Rand, correct me if I'm correct. So there's an order of who can be the voting member if someone cannot make it. And the current order is SOGAPS, R&J, Finance, ONA, Appropriations, and Travel Awards. And I believe the amendment is to move R&J and Finance to the beginning of the list, correct? And yes, that is deemed friendly.
Which one do you want first, R&J?
I have no preference on which is first. It's more just that it could be members that already have to come to these things and know what's going on should have first preference.
Gotcha. I just put R&J in finance.
All right.
No other questions? Okay. Is there a motion on the floor? Question has been called. Is there a second on the floor? Seconded by multiple people. Sold. No, I mean, objections. None?
Thank you, Nick. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda. It is, I believe this one was 62, code amendment to clarify recall election. Has that been removed from the agenda or not? I can't remember.
We pushed it.
Okay, that's what I thought. And then the next one is also was pushed, the delineate sanctioning powers and obligations of the Board of Elections. Was it not? That's my bill, right? I'm not crazy. Yeah, okay. Do we have a motion? I mean, how are we doing on time? Do we have, okay. We're actually doing surprisingly okay on time. I'll leave it up to you. Do we have a motion to remove this item from the agenda? 063 amendment to delineate sanctioning powers and obligations of the Board of Elections. Actually, I would like to push it because I got some very productive amendments and I want to type them. So I would very much like a motion to actually remove it from the agenda at this time. Okay. Are there any seconds to the motion? Any objections to the motion? Seeing none, the agenda is hereby modified. I believe that was also pushed. Okay, we're at the last bill of the day. We are at 065, Financial Omnibus. Senator Merhabi, would you like to take the floor?
So this is the financial omnibus. What it is, it's a combination of two bills that were given to finance, plus the budget, plus some minor updates to the code that we passed in March. So the two bills that were given to finance that are included here are the stipend for the Speaker of the Senate, as well as the rename of the Appropriations Committee to the, let me just make sure I get this right, Senate Student Organization Awards Committee. So those are the two bills. The minor changes made to the code just have to do with closed sessions. I ran that up with legal. They were mostly okay with everything. They just wanted me to eliminate some stuff and also further restrict access to minutes of closed sessions to make sure that they don't and in the past, how I had it written was that they would be periodically reviewed and revealed to the public as necessary. Legal just advised to keep them sealed. Also, some minor changes is that when we were doing the budget, we realized that we left out some stipends, so those were added back in. And then the biggest part of this bill, of course, is the budget. So we project to receive about $166,000 this year in student fees. We allocate pretty much all of that, save $50.60 to everything. We are spending a total of $57,560 on stipends, $3,990 on operating expenses, $9,500 on programming, $90,233.40 on distributed funds. So that includes your town halls, allocations now called unit participation grants, travel awards, appropriations, emergency fund, et cetera. And then finally, we have administrative necessities. So $5,000 for CUSO, and then extra $50.60 is going into our reserves. Yeah, I will not take any questions.
Are there any questions of the floor at this time? Senator Beck?
Oops, sorry. I just wanted to elaborate just real quick on the changing of the name of the Appropriations Committee. As you can probably see in this bill, appropriations is used many, 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 many times. Half of the times do not actually mean the Appropriations Committee. Appropriations mean a lot more things than just what the Appropriations Committee does. So therefore, and also we got a lot of confusions with allocations. I know when I was a first-time senator, allocations and appropriations to my dyslexic brains sound very similar. And so we just wanted to make sure that the money going towards or for organizations and are used to hold events is more obvious for what it is. And so that's why we're changing the name to Senate Student Organization Awards. So.
Thank you, Senator Beck. Are there any other questions or remarks at this time? this is the budget. So this is an important bill, like one of the most important bills that we pass. So if people also want, we're actually doing, oh, sorry, President Pro Tempore.
Yeah, let's take a look. I do have a question regarding both travel and I'm going to still call it appropriation. Sorry, Sam. Looking at both of these are both kind of funded at what the historical lows of these were. Considering in prior years we had funded both of them at 35,000, and I think at one point in time appropriations even got up to 50, and the travel awards is up to $40,000. Are there any future plans to pull funds from the reserve to fund these further, or are we going to keep them? Because I know for sure travel awards to 25,000. That's about the rate it was in 2018. And with costs going up for everything and receiving larger and larger number of applications, is there any plans on increasing funding?
Real quick, I just want to revisit that. So for what I'm seeing for previous years is we're actually allocating somewhere around 27,000. That was the 2024, 2025 allocation, for example, 27,500 prior to reallocation from reserves. So these are, about $1,200 less. The Finance Committee debated this extensively. We elected to move some, a significant portion of those funds to the emergency fund. We thought the emergency fund was very important. When we looked into it, we are close to maxing out our emergency fund, and the committee felt that it was a bit more important to ensure that potential students going through a crisis were able to continue their education here at the university in case of adverse events over potentially travel award and social appropriations. As for plans to reallocate from reserves, they're not for this legislative session. That's typically done as, during the first so the October. Of course, while I intend to run as a senator and potentially be on the Finance Committee, I can't speak to what will be done next legislative session. I have no power to influence that.
Thank you, Senator. Are there any questions or remarks? Senator Baker.
Avery Baker, Public Policy. I would just like to say that this bill was published yesterday, and a lot of us have not had time to review what seemed to be very significant funding allocations.
Senator Beck.
Ooh, sorry, just a real quick comment to that. With most of it being like 57% of it being stipends, were all stipends that we have previously approved. None of the stipends got increased except maybe PPT by this legislation in previous bills. And then adding the committee stipends was last month or something. So the 57% of it we already knew about.
Would you like to answer that?
Wait, so was that a question or?
That was just a comment.
Okay.
Okay.
Good comment.
Yeah, so I will say I did send to there was a minor update that I sent. This was uploaded at the same time as a bunch of bill. It's also a pretty important one, and as this is not anything that's significantly different from the prior budgets, with the exception of the new stipends. The main cuts that are happening are out of unit participation grants, which I even mentioned when I passed the finance code. Those are essentially for incentivizing people to sit on committees. We're kind of taking that as part of that out of the allocations, because that was the purpose of allocations, was to incentivize participation. If we're doing it in a different way, we can reduce that. But yeah, I'm happy to answer any. Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions there might be on this bill.
Thank you. I do want to clarify. So the adjustments to the stipends, it was giving $500 per year to all standing committee members. I'm assuming that's the bulk of the change, right? Like
Correct.
dollar-wise.
Yeah.
And then there was increases to the SVP, speaker and president pro tempore, well, adding the speakers.
So there increase to the SVP. There was a $400 increase to the pro tempore, and then there was the addition of the Speaker of the Senate at the same stipend level as the pro tempore.
Okay. Thank you. Just wanted to clarify that. Any other questions or motions? Seeing none, do we have a motion to call the previous question? Any objections to the motion? Seeing none. Oh, sorry. Are there any seconds to the motion? Any objections to the motion? Seeing none, the motion passes. That was the end of the bills. SVP Boyer, is the last ballot, the fourth ballot, open? Okay. Ballot number 3 has been corrected in terms of name and in terms of having names and departments, and ballot number 4 has been opened. Do I have a question on the floor? I think I saw a hand. Cool.
Please let me know if there's an issue with ballot 4. Usually I only have to create one of these, so.
Okay, so let's move to the updates. We've already done Student Body President Adolfo. President Fraser, would you like to give, you already spoke? No, you didn't. You already spoke in not, yeah. Do you have remarks for the Senate?
Not necessarily anything prepared right now. I will state that I sent in the Slack, you guys, that form that Adolfo was talking about when we met with Gillings. So that information is there just so that anyone who else is aware of it knows about it. Yes.
Okay, and then do we have any updates from executive members? SVP Boyer?
Since things are still going on, I have not yet finished the participation points, especially for this, the items that are on the floor today or going to be in the emergency meeting. So those have not been added, but otherwise the question of who gets participation points and who gets allocations. If you were here today, or either on Zoom or anything like that, that means you basically got it. And so I can't say that with 100% certainty, but I'll go ahead and send it in the Slack, send out an email. But the amounts are currently changing due to the authors of the bills today.
Thank you. Senator Wren?
At the risk of making myself very unpopular, since we have gotten through our business very fast, are there any bills that we would like to move out of the emergency session, knock them out now, so we don't have to spend 4 hours next week if those bills get contentious?
So that is a very plausible thing. We can definitely make a motion to amend the agenda and do that. If we were to do that, we would have to add a new ballot for those because we've instructed people not to vote on them so far. We'd have to restart the vote for all of them. But that is a valid motion, so we'll try to figure that out if we have to. I'm not gonna have an opinion on this. I'll just leave it to the floor to make the motion and decide. SVP Boyer, do you have a?
I can make a ballot. It will take about 10 minutes, but I assume if there's going to be discussion, it will take longer than that. So I can create ballot number 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I can just add all the tabled bills and we vote on what we get to.
Okay. Senator Harvey, you have a?
Just to clarify, if we do create, since some of these bills are in the other ballots, how are we, is there a way we can reconcile that? Should we like close voting on the other ballots or?
Yeah, maybe we'll just close it right before we open it for the other so there's no confusion where you're voting. But yeah, all the votes that have been cast for those bills so far on the ballots that are present would be discarded and you'd have to revote. Senator Beck?
to the motion.
Okay. Does the motion stand? Would you like us to vote on it? Well, we also haven't picked a bill. There wasn't really a motion yet, right? Yes, you can make a motion. Yes, so yes, it is logistically feasible to make another ballot. Is there a motion to amend the agenda at this point to bring back one of the bills? Okay, seeing none. Okay, seeing none, let's then move on. Make sure you're voting. Let's move on to committee updates. I guess is the last item on the agenda. Senator Beck, you seem excited, so let's go there.
I will also be a little optimistic that the budget and therefore the name change bill goes through. With that, all forms, all applications, website, everything will have the new name on it, and we'll go through the new process, and we will be updating that. Me personally will be updating that through summer governance. So please just let your constituents know. I've already preemptively, like I said, optimistically let the people the organizations who've applied this year know that there might be changes coming with the form. There definitely will be changes coming with the forms next year. But to be on the lookout for more drastic changes as well, please let your constituents know. That will be starting ASAP, prior to August is my goal.
Finance.
Thank you. Yeah. No major updates from finance. Obviously, we just put forth the budget. If I did mention in the last meeting that if you wanted to appeal your departmental allocations, for whatever reason, the Finance Committee does have the ability to review those. I reached out to all the senators who might be not eligible for allocations and informed them of this. We received no applications for allocation appeals, and so we did not look at any of those. Yeah, I think that's really it for finance. Thank you.
Next committee, R&J.
Yes, so R&J met a couple times in the last month. And the big thing from us was, well, big thing is maybe an exaggeration, but we did a code review of the appendices of the code that will be at the emergency meeting next week. And other than that, look forward to working this summer to help with the code update.
Thank you, Senator Hawk. Anyone want to go next? SOGAPs, perhaps?
Yeah, so Alan's not here, but Jared Valenzuela, biomedical engineering. There were no significant updates. We do have a resolution that we're going to be talking about that we're saving for next week, but we'll discuss that then.
Okay, before we move on, we are one short of quorum for ballot number 4. So if you haven't voted, now is the time to vote on ballot number 4. Because quorum is 38, correct? Yeah, we're one short of quorum for ballot number 4. And then Senator King, we can do the updates in a second, but I see, Neil, you have your hand up. Do you have any remarks? Do you have an update for an executive branch update or something?
Yes, I was going to ask you, is it too late for me to do a quick executive branch update? And I promise to engage with this more going forward. So if I have the floor, I just wanted to do this quick update. So we've been working with the University Career Center, and as of last week, we now have a free headshot booth right across at Health Sciences Library. It's free. It's there for you all to go and engage and take free headshots. So I hope you do so. But beyond that, that's an example of what it's like to partner with the university and get these professional tools closer to graduate students. So it was a year in the works. They wanted to move it a little bit closer to undergrads, and we had a chance to actually talk to them and come to a resolution where it's much closer to graduate students now after surveys and research pinpointing a solution that was not only popular but also proximate. So just want to put it out there. Please do share with your constituents that this free resource exists now, and hopefully more to come. But thank you so much, all. That is.
Thank you. Senator King.
Am I good to speak?
Yes, please.
Okay, cool. So no significant updates from ONA. We met this past Sunday for our regular meeting and approved the nominations and considered one bill. That will most likely be our last meeting for the semester. I will be graduating. It's been an honor to serve with everybody, and I wish everyone the best for next year. I will be seeing y'all, I'm sure, in the next week or so for impeachment stuff. Not really sure how that's going to play out, but thank you all for being receptive to the bills that we've had to put forward today and in the previous months. But it's been an honor to serve with everyone.
Senator Rackley, were you trying to speak, or was that just a wave to Ben for leaving?
No, I'm applauding for graduating. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, thank you, Senator. I guess, yeah, travel awards, Senator Quijano.
We had our meeting last week for travel awards where we evaluated all the applications for this extended cycle. Nothing more happening right now until we start working with summer governance to start looking at some of those summer applications. Looking forward to work with people over the summer to see other things that we can improve on, also on how travel awards, the process has been working. So looking forward to it.
Thank you. We were just looking at the ballot. I think so. Another vote was added, but I think it was a double vote for a department that had already voted. If they're not, should we refresh it? Okay, we have 39. Oh, this is I'm looking at number 3. Go 1 second. Okay, 39 and only 1 double. Okay. With that, let me just double check there. Is it something on the agenda that I'm completely forgetting about? Yeah. That's it. That's everything on the agenda. There's a lot of bills to actually announce now whether they passed. So we will announce it later, but I think almost everything passed. At least the things that were, yeah. Do I have a motion to adjourn? A second? Any objections? This motion passes. You all have a lovely evening.